I was completely undecided about which video to make, so I went through a random anime website and came across this. Shinka no Mi. I thought, why not? And I clicked in my friends. The first scene of the anime is literally a girl without clothes going up to the guy and saying she wants to marry him. I thought it was strange. The guy thought it was strange. I checked the website to see if it was right, and to my surprise it was. You're watching Shinka no Mi, so leave a like to support the project and let's just go. Next is a flashback of how he got to that point. The MLK is different from before. He's bigger here and with a different face, but we recognize him by the color of his hair, which in the anime is generally colored hair. And then we discover that in reality MLK is a 0 on the left and that he was bullied by his classmates. He was left there on the floor, whatever the reason he was there. A mysterious voice says that it will transport the students to another world and that each one has a special ability and that they can see each other and join groups. Our excluded protagonist tries to go up. More generally, he sees his status and takes it to his face. Apparently even in his status the MLK was mocked. He has almost no attributes. However, this god sends all the groups there and sees that he is alone, and he feels sorry and says that he will give him a special skill, after which he is wandering through the jungle for days, hungry until he is hit by a fruit. Before eating he evaluates it. Its name is Shinka no Mi, the fruit of evolution, and here my friends, the game begins. After that he comes across some LV-120 chimpanzees and the effect of the fruit is activated and there is no Wi-Fi, but in reality our excluded person is crazy, and when they leave he goes there to steal more of that fruit and he steals from the guys. LOL, I'm talking no. On the other hand, all the students are calm there, and there is even a good soul who must be the class leader who cares about the excluded. So the guy sees a mushroom and thinks if it is suspicious or not. What do you think, my partner? He ate it and got poisoned, but he pulls out more of that fruit and eats it. The MLK has already eaten 7 and thanks to the fruit he is able to resist several things and now resistance to poison now and then. Then he is attacked by the chimpanzee there. The smaller one went to charge him and he was going base until the chimpanzee smelled him and kicked his boots. Hahaha, wow guys, fall for this meme of not taking a shower. No. He then gains several items and several skills begin to evolve until he reaches the point of evolution where he literally strengthens his muscles and completely changes his body. He skipped the gym. And for those who only had 1 point, 1000 points were distributed in each attribute. Now the guy is robbed and his evolution has gone to 1/10 and MLK already realizes that he has a long road of pain ahead of him. 5 months pass and now he's going X1 with a LV-311 wolf, and after that the guy even gained water magic skills. And the torture starts again, and after a lot of screaming he's already at 9/10 evolution, but there's no respite for him. He's surrounded by the monsters he was light-handed before. But a pink gorilla with a flower emerges, who apparently is their leader, and the gorilla already asks to go to X1 angry, and our protagonist politely refuses, but the gorilla says no. He evaluates the gorilla and sees that it is LV-775. It is me friend has now complicated it for you. Gorileo already goes for the punch and he comes down, and the Gorileo is amazed because no one had escaped the blow before. And then our protagonist already realizes that despite her voice, she is a female gorilla, and the situation got worse because she fell in love with him. He even launches a strike of terror, but she escapes calmly. She launches another vicious attack, but the protagonist survives and she is impressed again. She declares herself and he refuses, saying that he is not interested in gorillas, and she says that she is not a gorilla and that her name is Saria. He attacks again, she dodges, and they stay at it for a while until the protagonist calls his dagger in water and prepares to cast a spell, but he has no control and casts the spell on himself. LOL. After that, they continue the battle and he is losing, so he remembers that he defeated the first monster using his stench and appeals to that. However, this only made the gorilla fall in love even more. Hahaha. This is a very romantic comedy here. And the gorilla decides that she will marry him and takes him to her den. After our dear excluded placed there the fruits of chimpanzee evolution sprouted, a gorilla shakes him and still took him home. What happens is that the gorilla is female and he asks marriage due to its high strength and stench. Yes, after that he made a meal. Angry there for the excluded past the guy's clothes and continues flirting with. He is always saying no, no, not such a gorilla, I'm human, okay. Crazy person is using drugs. The gorilla's name is leave and don't give up on marrying him, okay. Screwed my partner. She reveals that learn to speak from the books she found in the forest. He is the pullover. In it he learns the same skill as her. Had the books there without the slightest effort is being born a big over power friends. After this gorilla takes him to fish and he sneaks out because he saw an opportunity there until one beetle it comes out of nowhere. My friend, you will become dinner, but Sarah got sick. They're in the beetle and saves and continues worried there about him. He even it's surprising to know why the boy never cared about him, so even the guy stays. Damn bro, she's calling me, you know. And after that they go home. There's a cool Rango and Sarah says it's day to hunt the fruit of evolution. Kid, I'll lock the hole, it's connected, and the series says that fruits make you reach maximum performance, but if you ate 11 you die, and the kid new lock because he ate 10 bro. Seriously reveals that we were getting together to give to your future husband. More fruits were stolen and the kid already spear tested on the ground and send that. I'm sorry, but get out says leave. It's okay. okay because he will be your husband. Kid, at this point we already know that. He's screwed, my partner is gone. After that he gets to hunt and without seeing you, your chance to get your foot in while that the other students are in somewhat dubious training there, it's on. I think it's going to be bad, but then others. 500 Meanwhile you are doing cosplay from the Flash, you know, comes right behind. He's worried, saying it's not for go to that area, but feel that she wants to capture him and he already releases him. Family father cosplay, and say I left her. Arriving at the cave he come across a King Cavareo, it's on, which has nothing less than 1,500 like. My friend, and there's already a fish market, I don't know. Like, but Sarah comes in front, she says, who is happy to have arrived on time, and he finally called her by name. He tries to do something, but she says she already was basic because her ability is literally live even after death for a while, and that the attack was accurate. Caught on to the core, kid gets filled with it's my fault for treating her badly, rejected her, insulted her because she was a gorilla and stuff, and she says he's kind because from the beginning he treated her normally, talking to her without fear. Skull already. Send the chat, bro, what a bizarre mess. That's what you're doing there, old man. I know. It's already cool. Take out your magic sword. Water then pulls out another stick and throws the double appears their style darling and goes onto the Skull King, and he while I fought and said I loved the beautiful skirt. The mess here is a bit strange, guys, but at that moment Sarah starts shining. Feel the scale their magic in. Above Cavareo water magic in the case. He avoids it, but if we do cosplay, he sent a quick suck and hit the guy Summer right in the middle with a skill that he took it out of his ass right there. It's on. He didn't have it, now he has it, and that was it though. This is how the Skull King is defeated, is revealed now that he has been released from your curse, returns to your form original, and there is a drama of a little angel who is his maid and who apparently there was romance between them. He couldn't protect her. She would even give a good anime, but not the main character of this story, and King Cavareo goes from base along with your maid's soul. Meanwhile Sarah is almost at base also, and I'm not going to show it here, but let's say I know you kissed Sarah and then a light somehow this girl turned into giving two guys. I didn't understand, you didn't understand, but that's it. Let's move on. Let's not go think a lot about and then tell the story of King Cavareo, that he was a lord feudal system unloved by its people, but an emperor's greed made his wife him, and the people betrayed him, and when he was left alone, his maid Mary was left alone by his side, calmed his heart. However, the emperor continued his pursuit and killed Mary after the feudal lord isolated and became King Cavareo, and his hatred dominated him because he loved Mary and Mary loved him. That's why he appeared. Here is this cool and sad drama. After crying for the book, I felt this area caught a good trunk. I don't know, I'm there, bro. Anime goes from 8, it's really fast, okay, connected, and if we like all good appeals, gain all king abilities, Cavareo, and finally get the last XP. That begins its last transformation, and the guy simply became an idol. K-pop, bro, man, this one is lucky. Its power, its appearance, the guy __. He changed his life completely, man. Then had a sheep in a top hat and told the dungeon administrator, and they were the first ones to go there. King Cavareo is treated as if he were a quest bro and not a living being. This anime is screwing my brain straight. Talk is a lot. Good information. The lamb delivers the seeds of the evolution fruit, a dress for Sarah, and a helmet. To the site that asks what he do it, the sheep replied, if you're hungry, he opens it and you eat, that's it. Hey man, Carnarinho plays a lot. Sarah decides that he will continue to accept where he for #man she's so into you, and they go towards the horizon holding hands. How cute, guys. And again, don't think about the fact that she was a gorilla who turned into a human who will bug one little your mind, and ends with apparently a new heroine too. Our protagonist, now a biker, ventures around the world with Sarah, and they find a slime that goes after our biker Prota, but is killed quickly because he is very powerful. Then the spoils of the battle fall. He gives the boot to Sarah, and he gets 2 skills that increase his disguise status, and he is already desperate because he thinks he is a monster. As he leveled up, the helmet went up with him, transforming into a cape that won't let other people see his power. So they drive to a kingdom where they are questioned because they don't have identification, and Seiichi says that they lost. The knight uses a lie detector orb and they pass and finally can head to the city. But when he reveals that he is going to the guild, the knight gets worried and tells him not to do that he doesn't need that place, and if anything, just talk to him and introduce himself, and they become friends. So Seiichi and Sarah go to the guild and discover that there are just a bunch of depraved perverts doing really questionable things, and Seiichi decides that they better go somewhere else. So the guild master approaches them, and he's another crazy guy, but in this case just for muscle, and he says, don't be shy and come in straight away to see the place. Then the guild leader calls the receptionist who was doing questionable things, and she apologizes for the sight they witnessed and suddenly turns into a modest girl. She explains about the guild gathering various information about the world and the benefits. Seiichi is still apprehensive, but Sarah says that everyone seems to be having fun and convinces Seiichi to join the guild. Then some crazy people who seem to be fans of the Joker come in and ask him to go to a corner, clearly intimidating him, and Seiichi tells Sarah to wait and he'll be back, and the guild people are left there with their hands tied. guy. But in reality what the guys wanted was intercourse with Seiichi, if you know what I mean, because they thought he was very handsome. They said it was just to welcome him, and he knocked out 2 of them and ran away. So after jumping many buildings while they chase him, finally he loses his way and returns to the guild. And the leader and the receptionist are surprised because it has never happened to anyone returning unharmed. Seiichi scolds them and they laugh as if it were something normal. Then the receptionist says that they need to pass a test to rank their skills and adventure level, but to do that they will need a veteran adventurer from level B and up. And then Seiichi already knows that another crazy person is coming, and it didn't even take 2 seconds, and she appeared, a white-haired woman with a giant axe and a tsundere personality. After Seiichi doesn't want to, she says she accepts since he insists so much. After that, the adventurer called Artoria explains the different types of mission, and in this one she ends up smiling and is all shy with the praise she received from Seiichi and Seiya. After that, Seiya accepts the mission to help at the orphanage, and Seiichi then witnesses Artoria saving a little boy who had been injured. Then they arrive at ruins where the mission is to destroy them. Seiichi, clumsy as always, leans against the ruins and they collapse on him. She gets scared and quickly tries to rescue him, and we find out about her past, that she has a type of curse that everyone who gets involved with her suffers some kind of accident. She breaks down in tears while looking for Seiichi. But Seiichi manages to get out of the rubble alone, and she starts teaching him a moral lesson about the dangers of being an adventurer and that he can put his colleagues in danger. But in the end she apologizes for being harsh and says she's happy that he's okay. Back to Seiichi's classmates. They are undergoing arduous training, and the knight in charge is even against involving them in his war against the Demon King, but there's not much he can do. Meanwhile, Seiichi fulfills his last mission, which is to take a puppy for a walk, but in reality it was a gigantic wolf, and the owner and Artoria have fun watching, and the owner says that Artoria is smiling more and asks if it would be for the boy, making her blush. So back at the guild, they get the reward, and Artoria invites them to the inn she is at since they have nowhere to stay, surprising everyone. The next day, they finally start the test. Seiichi is excited and goes to collect the plants, and Seiya follows, while Artoria is worried about not letting her curse affect them. Seiya completes the mission successfully, getting 10 herbs, but Seiichi didn't get any, just rare mana items, but Artoria says he has them, and he quickly takes them. The guy received divine blessing, but it doesn't always help. He goes after the rest but can only find rare items, until he hears some noises in the forest, and in fact it was some clumsy demons, but they don't seem to be evil, talking about completing a plan to please their boss. Seiichi is stupid as he is. He goes to them to ask for help to find some common herbs, but they see him as a threat, and so they do some Power Ranger poses and summon a troll to beat Seiichi up. But Seiichi uses his ability to absorb and steals the troll's strength for himself, leaving everyone tremendously scared, and they run away. Seiichi ends up coming back with more rare items, but Artoria gives him a discount and tells them to go to the next test. After that, the demons go to their boss and tell her about the plan to teleport humans to the dragon god's lair, but they still disobeyed rules and run away so as not to be punished for it. Back at Seiichi, they meet the Knight Claude, who gives them motivation for the last test. The final test is to finish off some slimes. Artoria didn't have much faith in Seiya when she punched the air and said it was her secret weapon, but the test began anyway. However, the slime was teleported, and Artoria already understands what is happening and cancels the test, but she activated one of the seals. Seiichi and Seiya go with her, trying to save her. Artoria scolds them, saying that they put themselves in danger for nothing, but then she is grateful when they said that they didn't even think, they just reacted to save her. She gives them a stone to locate themselves, and then, due to her curse, she ends up activating a trap separating the group. They even try to use the stone to get to Artoria, but fail miserably. Artoria goes into an intense battle against a mummy, which she ends up winning but becomes increasingly tired due to the damage suffered. Meanwhile, Seiichi and Seiya are completely lost in the maze, until they find a chest, but Seiichi finds it very suspicious and ignores it. Then the chest comes to life and goes up to force him to open it. Seiichi quickly annihilates the chest with his magic and then levels up and gains the chest's abilities and history. Basically, with the invention of the item box, chests became unusable, so his desire to be useful and interact with humans made him evolve and even learn to use magic, but in the end humans labeled him a monster, and now the end of the chest story has come. Seiichi feels sorry, but takes the items he won, a ring that multiplies luck by -2, he finds it completely useless. And the priest starts to turn red, signaling that Artoria is on the verge of death. He battled many opponents until he finally arrived at the dragon's lair. The dragon tries to intimidate her, but she goes all out, starting a fierce battle. Seiichi and Seiya quickly try to do something to reach Artoria, but they can't think of anything. Artoria, on the other hand, is lying on the ground after being defeated by the dragon. But she doesn't surrender. She activates her berserker mode, and so goes the fight against the dragon, who easily repels her, but she goes again, but the dragon calmly immobilizes her. She doesn't surrender and tries again, but this time the dragon dealt her a fatal blow. She already accepts her fate and says that she wanted to see the two of them safe at least before leaving, and faints, but wakes up with Seiichi blocking the dragon's attack with Seiya. Will Seiichi be able to solve this Artoria curse and save her? You'll find out right now, so leave a like if you haven't already, and let's continue this story. Seiichi then saves Artoria with with his Seiichi. Seiichi explains that he broke the wall with his punch and that he didn't know he was that strong. After arriving at Artoria, she is immensely surprised, and on the way where they broke to open a passage, they hit the dragon god. Seiichi tells him to heal Artoria. Then he gives him a healing medicine and turns his attention to the dragon. The dragon is furious, but Seiichi draws his two swords and tells the dragon to prepare. The dragon delivers several very powerful blows, but Seiichi uses his speed to dodge, but still finds it difficult because the dragon is very powerful. After an assessment he sees that the dragon's level is 5000, and then is hit by the dragon's tail. The dragon then summons a large amount of explosive energy and concentrates it in a sphere, frightening Seiichi, but Seiichi reminds him of his water ability and he soon casts it to be able to go head to head against the dragon. And now with him at his maximum evolution, unlike the first time, he has control and causes much more damage. Seiichi protects Artoria, while Seiichi continues the attack. The dragon immobilizes him with an intimidation ability, but Seiichi, as he is known, gains resistance through the system and starts attacking the dragon. He gains some more skills that he got out of his ass and launches several new attacks on the dragon, which is sliced. But before leaving, the dragon cries and says that all he wanted was to be happy with that person. Apparently every villain has a sad story in this anime. Seiichi then once again levels up drastically and Seiichi goes to hug him all worried. She says that Artoria fell asleep after the medicine and Seiichi is going to take the spoils to find something to get out of the cave and is sad to become even more powerful with the spoils of the dragon god. Then he swallows the dragon ball and gains space magic that the dragon used. He also gets a new coat that is actually a mega powerful armor, and finally a book of spells about the dragon god and his history. In ancient times, the dragon god was the guardian of humanity and everyone worshipped him, but some greedy humans longed to use his materials for weapons, and they set up to execute him, but the demon lord saved him in time. But the humans summoned a great hero who finished off the demon king, and then the humans turned their attention to the dragon god. So the dragon god sealed himself in a dungeon so that humans couldn't reach him and thus no longer lose anything precious. Seiichi once again cries and apologizes to the dragon. So the little sheep sends them a letter saying that they didn't complete the difficulty of the dungeon, which was to leave the dragon alive and that he won't appear, and that he's on vacation. So Seiichi returns with the girls back to the city with his new space magic. Artoria then wakes up and is already struggling because Seiichi is carrying her, but she soon calms down and apologizes and shows her status, which states that her luck is minus 2 million. She says that she has had this curse since she was born and that it will continue to cause problems to everyone around her, and Seiichi and Seiichi say that she didn't cause any problems by smiling and surprising her. So when she arrived at the guild, the leader and the receptionist were worried about collecting information and were relieved that Artoria was okay, and she got emotional and ran out because she still felt like a burden. Then the demons from before appear who were betting, thinking that they had already been defeated by the Dragon King, but the leader appears and informs that the Dragon King was defeated, surprising everyone. Back to Seiichi, he is looking for Artoria around the city and finds her friend from before, and she asks if Seiichi knows about her condition. He says yes, and finally she asks him to get closer to her then, and she says he will find her, and she jokes that he counts on him and calls him Prince Charming when he leaves. Seiichi then finds her with the locating stone from before, and it was hidden in those ruins from before. Artoria says that she couldn't deal with the fact that everyone cares about her too, and that it wasn't just her. Seiichi then hugs her and says he will stay with her until she feels safe again, to the point where she can smile from the heart and some tears fall from her. Seiichi was worried about Seiichi, but the guild staff told her to trust him. Seiichi then realizes the situation he is in and is already embarrassed for being in that situation with Artoria. Artoria then says that she was embarrassed but thanks Seiichi, and he thinks what he could do, and then asks her to hold out her hand and put on the ring from before, which doubles the wearer's luck. And with basic mathematics, negative times negative plus positive, and now the Arteri's luck is 4 million. And Seiichi says that now they can enjoy genuine happiness and that he will give him full support. Embarrassed Artoria pushes Seiichi and runs away. She doesn't know how to deal with her feelings. So Seiichi, confused, thinks about the words he said at that moment, and he implied something very different from what he wanted to say to her. It sounded like a marriage proposal. He runs to catch up with her, but stops and thinks that if this makes her happy at least momentarily, that's enough, and the chest reappears in the sky and sends a thumbs up. Artoria still doesn't understand what she's feeling and wonders why her heart is racing. The next day Artoria was avoiding Seiichi and he was wondering what to do, but Seiichi told him not to worry, that his instinct says that Artoria doesn't hate him. After that Seiichi says goodbye to Seiichi, who will begin his mission to help the children at the orphanage, and in the meantime Seiichi decides to venture out and discover more about that world. So Seiichi talks to the guild leader, and at first he offers him a bodybuilding camp and he refuses, refuses. Then the receptionist offers information about very dubious things, if you know what I mean. And finally they talk about the summoning of several heroes that is taking place in a neighboring city to defeat the Demon King. And they send Seiichi to the central library with a map that the muscular leader took out of his swim trunks and already told Seiichi to take a sniff, but he said he's crazy, he's getting high on his ideas and trout. Few people know, but Seiichi is addicted on YouTubers from Sao Paulo. Meanwhile in the castle of the other kingdom, the wizard and the king are talking about the hero's slowness in progressing, and the wizard says that he has put everyone in a magical academy so that they can improve, and tells the king not to worry, as he will put bondage bracelets on them too. And then they both stand there laughing like supervillains in a movie. Artoria is completely in love with Seiichi, running and wondering about her feelings, and Seiichi is there in the library looking for clues from his friends. And he reflects on how the story says that the Demon King is evil, but he remembers the dragon and reflects on whether he would really be evil. Next he is studying magic and sees that certain skills are necessary to better master magic, and then the system goes there and gives him that skill, completely breaking the cliché. He picks up another book, and now the system has messed with each page he turns, and he gains a spell of the highest level, to the point where he is buried in magic cards proving that he acquired the spell. Saria is playing with the children and suddenly she turns into a gorilla, making everyone cheer. And let's not even remember the fact that Seiichi is relating to her in a loving way, otherwise, boy, we're all going to be arrested here for watching this misfortune. Seiichi then finds a painting of a half-human, half-dog, and buys a painting there, making her very happy, and then he becomes overwhelmed by the smell of food and heads to the place. Upon entering he meets what appears to be a former knight and a mysterious bartender. Artoria, who was confused, meets her friend who decides to give him some advice. Seiichi ends up making friends with the bar staff. It turns out that the blonde was just a peasant, and the bartender remains mysterious. Artoria's friend says that she is in love, talks about the ring and how it is a vow of love, and Artoria thinks that Seiichi already has the Saria, but her friend continues to encourage her and she accepts the advice of her friend who says how she will conquer him. So the friends at the bar tell Seiichi that in their country doing what he did about the ring is a vow of eternal love, and he even spits out the coffee. So the blonde recommends that he not say that he was joking and that she got it wrong, otherwise it would be his death sentence, and the bartender adds that at best he will be castrated. His friends at the bar recommend that he marry her, which is simple and solves the problem, and he says about Saria, and the blonde says to cultivate love for both then and for him to be open-minded. Self-interested blondie, see if you can. The wise bartender told him not to give a vague answer, to apologize to Artoria or take responsibility. Seiichi is happy and says goodbye to the two. Then the bartender says that the blonde is exposing himself too much, and he tells him to rest assured that the best swordsman in the kingdom is coming to get him. A person arrives at the door, but the scene changes to Seiichi. So Seiichi decides to tell Saria everything that happened. He even rehearses about telling everything and then going to apologize to Artoria. But at the same moment Artoria arrives at the place before he enters the church and calls him. So he creates courage and repeats to himself in his mind that he has to apologize to Artoria, that this is the moment. But Artoria goes there and kisses him, leaving him speechless, and tells him not to continue what he was saying. She knows that he didn't give her a ring there because of feelings, but she doesn't care because she is in love with him, and says that she knows that he likes the Saria, but she wants to be with him and asks if she is not good enough. Continues declaring his feelings. Seiichi starts to get confused, not knowing which way he would go. He was going to say something, but Saria opens the door and sees them there. Boy, the dick is going to break now. But in reality she says to accept her, that she wanted him just for her, but it's natural for females to go after the strongest, and we see that she's actually having a gorilla vision. And Seiichi didn't even have Wi-Fi anymore. He's relieved that he wasn't going to the base. But then Saria says to accept her, that she also loves Artoria and wants to be with her too and my friends, which is what I see here. And then Seiichi kisses Artoria in front of Saria, declares himself. Saria goes there and hugs them both, and the scene that follows is the wedding of the three and everyone who has appeared so far congratulating them, and Seiichi wonders if it's okay to end like this. And the scene next is a mare with pink hair. Please no man, what am I seeing here? In the next scene is the guild leader saying that he doesn't have a right horse, and no bro, my fear has come true, I can't take it anymore, doing this here for you, remember to leave a like. My god, what am I seeing? The leader says that every adventurer needs them and says how important horses are for tasks and also for the bond with the adventurer. He takes a statement from a place that I won't tell you about and finally tells Seiichi to go buy a horse. When he gets there the farmer asks if he will participate in the competition and if so he will need a horse. Seiichi understands nothing but follows the guy, and he shows the dragon horse that is popular with everyone. The deer horse, despite looking like a fool, has twice the strength of a dragon horse. Seiichi is incredulous and the farmer says that they are great for being tame and gives him a few pats, and out of nowhere the horse falls to the ground and the farmer is sad, saying that he was a base. And they go to base quickly because they forget to breathe because they are dizzy, and even a simple impact makes them go to base. And then he presents a wild mare that hasn't gotten used to anyone since she was born, and Seiichi says she looks more like a mule, but at the same time the farmer gets a good kick. Not satisfied, she goes to the farmer and starts stepping on him, so Seiichi wonders what she is thinking. And the system releases a skill that it can understand. And the mule is stepping on the guy and telling him not to touch her, that the only ones who can are those she considers worthy. Seiichi talks to her, she invites him in and attacks him, but he quickly stops her, immobilizing her and leaving her completely unable to attack, so she surrenders and recognizes him as worthy, saying that she recognizes his strength and bowing to him. And he says that after recognizing his strength he will serve him and calls him master. The old man even tries to get up but gets another kick in the stomach, and Seiichi says he will take her, and the seller says he thanks him for his preference while he was fainting on the floor. After that Seiichi buys many food for her and she is super happy and says she will serve him for the rest of her life to make up for it, and he says it's not that much. Later on, we see the half-canine girl from before being approached by someone who said that she should participate in the competition and that she was wasting her talent. Seiichi arrives and asks what was going on, and the boy hears him telling the mule that he already bought the girl's painting before and uses this as an argument to motivate the canine girl to enter the art competition. Seiichi then says that he will participate too and tells the girl that if he comes in first that she will sign up for the contest. Agreed? And she is surprised. They ask if he's not scared and he says he is. After all, it seems like a huge event, but he prefers to participate and try rather than regret it later. The boy tells Seiichi that one of the prizes is an ultra-rare fish, and the mule gets excited and says he wants to participate. The boy asks if he is going to participate with that mule and he says yes, and everyone is amazed. Anyway, at the World Cup it looks more like a coliseum, and there are Toria and Seiya go to watch Seiichi, and the presenter starts announcing the prizes. In second place, a book with a questionable photo essay about the strongest captain and swordswoman in the kingdom, and everyone goes crazy except Seiichi, who doesn't understand anything. And first place is an invitation to spend the day with her and the other Valkyrias, and again Seiichi and the mule are in disbelief at the event. And the mule tells them to focus on fifth place and he agrees, but the canine girl appears and tells him to be careful and maybe it would be better to give up, but in the past, despite the difficulty, he just needed someone to give him a little push, remembering too from your colleagues. And this time he wants to give the canine girl a little push. And then the race starts and everyone shoots, and generally those who had the deer horse are paralyzed, and then all the deer horses go to base and identify that it was the sound of a shot. And soon after, Seiichi is back there with Loyun, which is the name of the mule, and everyone who bet on them starts to get pissed. And Loyun says that she was so excited about the race that she skipped breakfast and started crying because she couldn't run due to hunger. And Seiichi takes a Shinka no Mi fruit from his magic bag and gives it to her. Soon the competitors were starting to use their tricks to eliminate the other competitors. And an adventurer summons rank B wolves and a hellish wolf, and everyone is amazed. But Seiichi comes right behind with crazy pre-workout Loyun from Shinka no Mi. Everyone in the stadium goes crazy with the hype they provided, getting their Loyun only landing after her jump ends up with only rank B wolves. And then activate Jin's super kick mode and hit the wolf right in the nose, knocking him out. And at the end Loyun even sends a damn insect, a clear reference to Vegeta. Gerald gives up the race to not compete with her, and Seiichi and Loyun win the race. Seiichi and Loyun don't understand anything because they wanted fifth place. Seiya and Artoria are very proud of them, and the canine girl and the boy from before are super inspired. Then Loyun is crying because she didn't get her fish, and Seiichi tries to cheer her up. She gets emotional and says that she will serve him for life, and then a glow appears on the screen and it's Bando, what we're seeing here. Artoria and Seiya enter the house and are surprised by what they see. Loyun is in her human form. Seiichi gets excited and blood comes out of her nose. The girls don't understand anything. Loyun hugs him with shame. Will Seiichi get into trouble with Artoria and Seiya? Will Loyun be his third wife? If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe so I can keep bringing more and more videos, and let's continue with the story. Seiichi then appears with Loyun the way he came into the world, and Artoria already beats him up with jealousy. So already on the ground after being beaten by Artoria, Seiichi explains that the girl is Loyun the mule and she doesn't believe it, so Seiya turns into a gorilla to show that it's true, and Artoria is completely speechless. Artoria then takes Loyun to buy some clothes for herself and finally make her more comfortable, but it's still strange when we think she's a mule. Then two female knights enter the room asking for Seiichi. He introduces himself and they trap him with magic, and the one with red hair still says that his crimes are over, and he leaves the room shouting that he is innocent. Then Leia, which is the name of that demon from before, appears, and she is the third captain of the demon lord's army. And in sequences other supporting characters that are not that important to the plot. There are some guys there and another demon who are so excited for the meeting to start soon. Then the demon king's daughter appears, and she is very cute, and she says that the reason for bringing everyone together is that she wants to try to make an alliance with the kingdom of de Winburge. Everyone in the room is surprised and wonders why, if they executed the ancient demon king. Then she says that the kingdom of Winburge, which is where Seiichi is, made relations to make peace with demons, and Leia also informs that a single human defeated the dragon god, referring to Seiichi. Leia had performed a type of ritual to revive the dragon god's soul and talk to him, and he informed her that it was Seiichi, and she said that she would avenge him, and he informs her that it wouldn't be necessary. He even hated humans for a long time, but that fight made him lost fair and clear, and he's at peace with that. Then the servant of the demon king's daughter is there all indignant saying that they have to take revenge, and she says that she will go after peace. He remembers the prophecy that getting involved with humans brings calamities, and then she says that if that happens, she will offer his head in exchange for peace. Then the guy got angry, and all the captains at the table said they would love to have a barbecue with him if he continued to disturb the demon king's daughter. He runs out of the room, still indignant, and then all the captains salute and are with the current demon lord, who in this case is her. And her servant seems to want war, says that his plans have been frustrated but that he will not give up. Back at Seiichi, the female knights remember that he won the royal cup and will spend a day with the Valkyrias, and he asks what the handcuffs are for, and the redhead says they don't have time to waste, and he gets pissed. Then the other removes the handcuffs and shows them their training camp, where Louise, who is the captain, is at the center of a fight training the other knights. She finishes off the knights in the blink of an eye and they thank her for the hard training. Then Louis sees Seiichi. He goes to greet her but she puts the sword in his hands and tells him to go have a simulated duel with her. He asks her to go home and she walks away and goes on guard. Seiichi goes into despair, but the scene changes to students being teleported to the aforementioned academy. There, the group of Seiichi's colleagues goes to meet another group that challenges them to a duel of who kills the most monsters. In the meantime, the leader of the other group corners the girl and she immediately slaps the bum in the face to stop her. He gets smart and she refuses the duel afterwards. Seiichi dodges and continues saying that he doesn't want to participate, but Louise is impressed by him and says that she will fight seriously. Again he manages to dodge and asks if now they can end this, and she replies yes and that she will give her final blow. Seiichi is terrified, but his abilities, enemy detection and sixth sense, merge, releasing world vision, a new stolen ability. And with that he dodges and disarms Louise, thus ending the duel. Everyone is surprised, including Seiichi, and then Louise goes to him now in a more delicate way and asks if she can call him master and kneels down. Then one of the knights calls Seiichi to talk, but it changes to the king getting ready for a bath and an assassin hanging around him. The knight thanks Seiichi and says that Louise is a prodigy who can recreate any technique she sees, despite not being able to use magic. Then Louise enters the room and thanks him for saving her. He doesn't understand, so she starts to tell him about her childhood and that it was always very difficult to be a prodigy. At first people refused to fight with her because she always, and as a result he never found anyone he could call a friend. Then she thanks the knight for always worrying about her and she goes to hug her and the two are in a very emotional moment while Seiichi was happy in the background when he saw that scene and remembers his past and that he knew what it was like to feel lonely. And Seiichi accepts, despite saying that he doesn't really know what to teach, and she says that it's okay that she observes and steals techniques, and he's like, wow, cool then. But a scream is heard and then a maid appears and says that the king was attacked, but Valkyrias run to their posts and say goodbye to Seiichi. But he wants to help them, so he uses his world vision and finds the culprit, in this case a little girl. Then Seiichi, together with the system, finds her name and discovers that she is a slave, in this case she is just serving someone, and Seiichi goes to the room where she would leave and easily catches the kunais that she threw, but her reflexive defense ability is activated alone and he throws the kunais and pins her to the wall even without meaning to. She lets go easily and Seiichi defends himself easily, disappears and erases a giving a blow to the neck that is famous in films, causing her to black out. After that the knights appear, and then Seiichi says that the little girl is responsible and Louise tells the redhead to take charge of the interrogation and tells Seiichi that he was surprised that they were doing an interrogation with the little girl who came in this case the redhead, it's the only one who mastered advanced techniques, in this case, the guild secretary. And these advanced techniques are too dubious for me to mention them here. Then the knights start to cry because the weapon used was cursed and the king doesn't wake up. Seiichi, touched, tells them to take him to the king and there he is amazed because the king was the blonde he befriended in the bar the other day. Then Louise introduces her brother who is the leader of the kingdom's magic division and he apologizes for not being able to cure the king and asks for Seiichi's help, and Seiichi thinks that if there is no healing magic for that then he will create one. At first Seiichi invokes a circle and is totally lost in his thoughts about this magic. He didn't know what to do, so he started thinking about the word improve and nothing happened until he let the word out and everyone heard it and got confused. And Seiichi was embarrassed, but the better magic was created and the king's healing began. What's easier than that? Luckiest protagonist in anime. Improved magic consists of reversing the magic done and done so by improving the king and transforming eternal sleep into eternal health. Then when he wakes up the king recognizes Seiichi and Louise's brother calls him Master Seiichi and says that he undid the magic easily, so the king says he will reward him and he refuses, but Louise says that the feat was gigantic and for him accept, and the king says the same, so Seiichi after thinking asks for just one thing. The captain who trained the students known as heroes begs him to tell him where they are, and the king calls them slaves and says he sent them to the magic academy. The captain is surprised. Back at the academy, the students are there without understanding what they have to do, and the other group from before comes back to them and starts teasing the girl. One of her friends is already on guard, and the leader of the other team wants trouble. And basically the guys are gossipers, and they say that if they don't tell them what they're talking about they'll get into trouble. So the girl says it was about them being there condemned to who knows what, and one of the other team says it's because of what the king said to demonstrate power, and they stay there talking about how they are superior. And the girl ignores them and calls her friends to go to another place. So back to Seiichi, he's taking a shower with the king, and the king says that place is his dream after Seiichi finds the place beautiful, and switches to the girls on the other side talking about the interrogation that hasn't led to anything yet, and to Seiichi's request to the king. That was training magic and swordsmanship with Louise and the others, and that left everyone enchanted. And now we are with Seiya, Artoria and Lullian, who are also bathing in the fountains and talking about Seiichi. Artoria is worried that Seiichi will come back with new women, and Seiya says she is not worried, who knows that Seiichi will come out of any situation in a fun way, and Artoria continues with her jealousy, imagining the two female knights declaring themselves for Seiichi, first the redhead, then the one with short hair, and then a muscular man, and we discover that Artoria is unhealthy jealous AE. Then the king tells his dream to build public baths all over the world, because when you are there nothing matters, race, nationality, social class, everyone is as equal. Taking a bath, truly an ancient tradition in Japan, and he says that this is your silly dream, achieving peace like this, and Seiichi smiles. Back at the castle, there is a hostile dialogue between the captain and the king and the wizard. For them the students are just disposable pieces, and if they rebel, the wizard will end them all with their slavery bracelets, and the knight is against everything. An arrow tries to attack the king, and the knight intercepts it. The knight goes after the person responsible at the magician's request, and the king stays there asking about it, and in a conversation with the magician says that despite the neighboring kingdom forming an alliance with the demons, he has already taken action and sent an assassin. Back at Seiichi, the girls went to visit him, and Artoria even tried to blame Seiya for being jealous, and Seiya denied it. But at the same time Louise appears, and Artoria almost ends Seiichi, but he says she is the Captain Valkyria, and she is impressed. Then Louise introduces herself, and so do the girls. Seiya says she is his wife, Artoria his girlfriend, and Lullian his loyal servant who dedicated her body and soul to the master, and everyone is super surprised by Seiichi. And Louise's brother tells Seiichi that his life is crazy, clearly admired and a little jealous. In the interrogation room, Lorna begins her terrible techniques while Seiichi and the female knights watch from the other room. And after a lot of suspense, the terrible technique was to eat a delicious meal in front of the little girl while she was hungry, and Lorna enjoyed the food. Seiichi, pissed, kicks the door and asks if she's crazy, and Louise says that today she's going to go without dinner, and Lorna breaks down. After that Seiichi and Louise give the meal to the little girl, and Louise says that the necklace is a bondage collar and explains that she is just being used. Lorna asks if she knew that for the interrogation, and Louise apologizes, and she says that I discovered later. Seiichi asks why they don't just take it off, and the little girl shows that she gets a huge shock when she tries. Meanwhile in the other kingdom the king orders the wizard to make the little girl get better, and in the forest the honorable knight wonders why he still helps that detestable kingdom. The knight then finds the one who shot the arrow. It is an archer who was waiting for him at the top of a building, and he said that he did it out of revenge, that a young demon who never did any harm to anyone and worked as a florist was executed. Thanks to the king's order, they could exterminate demons at will as they pleased. Then the knight says that regardless of the reasons he cannot allow them to threaten the kingdom, and the archer replies that he is also a puppet of that scrupulous kingdom. The knight takes out a magic sword and says he just wants to protect the nation, that's all. The archer launches several arrows with precision magnificent, but the knight defends with magic, and then the archer gives his best blow and the knight defends easily, so the archer decides to retreat and says that the next time they meet he hopes he is no longer a puppet. Seiichi once again has to visualize the magic he wants to create. Seiya and the girls also enter the room, but Louise tells them to be silent, so Seiichi begins to visualize his magic of freedom, and the image of Abraham Lincoln comes to mind. So with that the personification of Lincoln was created, and he orders freedom, and the necklace is destroyed. Man, this would easily be censored on some television channels. Then the little girl is freed and starts crying. Seiya goes to hug her and says everything is okay, and meanwhile Lullian is needing her lunch there. She starts talking about her past, that the cat people were enslaved and her name is Oliga, and she even saw her mother being taken to that place where they take prisoners that starts with a football field and ends with the concentration we have to having in my studies. I had to say this because YouTube didn't cut the reach of the video. Then she says that all the children of the cat people were forced to become assassins and each specialize in one area, and so she lived her life life until today, being ordered by the Kaizen Empire to commit several executions, and she said that she only saw that value in her and that her hands are stained with blood, and Seiichi holds her hand and says that she can always start over. And he says he sees her as a little sister and says he can call him a big brother while making her stop crying. Seiya tells them to take care of her, and Seiichi agrees and talks to Louise, who said that he already intended to leave her in her care at the king's request, who is a very good person and who said he couldn't punish such a little girl. And then Seiichi says with Oliva, and she smiles. But meanwhile the wizard of the Kaizen kingdom and the servant of the demon king's daughter are plotting to orchestrate a war, all in the name of the ancient demon lord in their heads. And Seiichi is training magic with Louise's brother, learning to have more control, and Artoria and Seiya joined the training with him. But they are interrupted by Louise, who is more serious and asks Seiichi to protect the king in his absence, that she will join the paladin's army, which is the only one as strong as her in that kingdom, and together they will defend the kingdom from several demons that are spreading. Approaching the surrounding area, at first Seiichi says he is just an adventurer, but Louise reminds him of his strength. After that Seiichi says goodbye. Louise will be gone for more than a week, which is the time to arrive on the battlefield, and Seiichi reflects on nothing going well in the world. There will always be problems. If there is peace, it is because there are people who are solving them. Problems. Soon after, Louise's brother congratulates him for finally managing to contain his magic, and jokes that he gained the ability to take it easy, and then the system tells him that he acquired the ability Endless Hell, leaving him desperate. After all, it doesn't feel anything like taking it easy. And the secretary and the guild leader, they go see Seiichi while they are escorting the most powerful magician of all time, and Louise's brother is already very amazed, saying that he is the magician who mastered all the elements, and says that there are all photo shoots of him, and it just got weirder. Then the guy says he knows him and his achievements in the kingdom, and with that Louise's brother went crazy. After that it's a sumo reference that I didn't understand very well. After that they enter where the king was, and finally the king recognizes him, and apparently he was the sensei, Aaron the secretary. He does more questionable things, and finally the wizard and the king talk. Barnabas, who is the wizard and who according to himself asked to be called Barna, then tells the king about his academy, in this case the same one where Seiichi's colleagues were training. Barna was going to start talking about the heroes of the Kaizen kingdom, but a knight enters and says that there are dungeon boss monsters in the neighborhood, exactly 5,000 monsters with a level of 5,000. Everyone is amazed. On the other hand, the Valkyrias are in the field very far away facing another army of demons. There she and the paladin come together to attack them ferociously. Louise draws her true sword, enchanting everyone, and goes up to the org and easily defeats them. The Valkyries together with the paladin join the battle, but they are informed that another order is attacking the kingdom, and they soon worry about the king. Already in the demon kingdom, the servant who orchestrated all of this was watching and laughing. In the human kingdom, Seiichi joined with everyone to defend the palace. Artoria worries about the numbers. Seiichi with Seiya turning into a gorilla, which causes trauma to him, and Lullian is worried about not letting the demons confiscate her food. And Oliga appears and says that she will help too, that she wants to protect her new life with them, and he smiles at her. And those gathered are the strongest warriors, the pacifier man, the crazy guy who swings weapons and destroys everything including the kingdom itself, and the exhibitionist who says he will end up with everyone having no clothes. That's right, more powerful or more bizarre, we will discover below. Then the delinquents who tried to bully Seiichi in the beginning appear, and the crazy guild is reunited, and the guild leader is all proud there. And the guy is no small shit. He jumps from that height and doesn't feel anything and goes after the monsters, and everyone followed. Seiichi was going to join, but Barna tells him to wait. So the guild leader easily kills several monsters with his skills. Aaron continues with dubious things, but at least kills monsters too. The pacifier man uses grenade bottles and blows up the monsters, and the exhibitionist casts magic with his share there to outside. It's what we're seeing here. Leave it light, I'm traumatized. Claude appears to defend too, and the delinquents do the jutsu 1,000 years of pain, but with a closed fist on the monster's part, and it explodes. The elegant barman appears and apologizes to the king of beasts because he would take his life, and finishes him off in a matter of seconds, and the king says that he was a legendary assassin in the past. Seiya activates her gorilla arm and punches a monster, and Barna is sleeping there. Artoria summons her axe and freezes a dinosaur, and Barna wakes up excited because this was a high-grade spell, and she covers the dinosaur afterwards. But wait, there was a dinosaur there. This author thinks and does it, and without limit, the credit card has the limit hashtag author of the work. And Lullian is already in trouble with several monsters. Oliga humbly in the meantime executed 300 monsters, and Seiichi is already surprised. Barna then says it's time. He activates a spell, but there were too many monsters, so he activates an even bigger one, summoning a gigantic tornado on the monsters. Seiichi then says that he won't even need to move, and in the meantime, Seiichi receives the announcement that several boss rank monsters are arriving with an order twice the current size. The monsters are much stronger and people are starting to have difficulty. After analyzing the situation, Seiichi decides that he will put together a spell capable of resolving everything quickly. He then visualizes something that would be like a judgment of the gods and creates a new magic. At first he thought it was not activated, but the statue of justice begins to judge the monsters with deadly rays where she aimed the sword. In the meantime, the guild leader and Eren took a lightning strike but are unharmed and excited. Seiichi went to read the skill and discovered that it attacks everyone it considers harmful and reflects on whether they really fit into that category, and is grateful for the skill's justice. After that, all the monsters were evaporated, and even the demon that orchestrated everything in the demon kingdom took a lightning bolt to get smart. Barna is impressed with Seiichi, and the system informs him that he has leveled up. And in the blink of an eye, all the experience of the monsters got to him, and the system even crashed so many times that it was informing him that he had leveled up, and Seiichi was afraid that he was getting further and further away from being a human with all that power. And the system informs you that with so many new skills you took the liberty of combining them. The king says he is incredible and that he continues to wait for him to continue protecting the kingdom, and then they take another shower and go take care of the damage to the wall. The girls arrive and are already impressed with Seiichi. Oliga asks him to pat her head and Seiichi says she did a good job, and Barna asks him to be a teacher at his academy. At the academy, everyone looks away from Seiichi's colleagues due to the gossip that the other idiots there made. Back to Seiichi. Barna is crazy about wanting to learn magic and wanting Seiichi as a teacher. He said that Seiichi is far beyond him. Seiichi refuses for now because he promised that he would protect the kingdom until the Valkyries return, and he doesn't want to be separated from his companions. But Barna is a bargainer too, and says that Artoria will be a teacher like him, Saria will be a student, and Lulyun could be a student or martial arts trainer, and Oliga could be his assistant. And Seiichi says he's not against the idea and looks at the girls, who are already excited, and he agrees with Barna and says to himself that it will be interesting to have another school life. After that he decides to spend the day having meetings with the girls until Louise and the Valkyries return, and according to him with the consent of all. So first he takes Lulyun to eat whatever she wanted, he takes Artoria shopping and to the theater, and Saria with her maternal instinct as always tells them to take Oliga on her date because he feels bad about her always staying at home. So they spend the day as a family, as if Oliga were their daughter, and Seiichi turns to Saria and thanks her for falling in love with him and changing his life like that, and when they were about to kiss, the children get in the way, and he goes to play ball with them, and Saria says that she has to thank him. Then Seiichi sees the advertisement for the painting contest, and goes to see that canine girl and the noble boy that he had previously inspired. At first, no one likes the boy's art there, only the girls really liked it, and the canine girl appears with a painting of Seiichi together with Lulyun in the pantry and says that the painting represents the boy who gave her the courage to come forward, and everyone agrees, who looks like a hero from Legends. So Seiichi goes to meet the girl who won first place, and together she said that she will go to the art academy and asks permission to paint him after graduation, and he consents and says that it will be a promise. The Valkyries quickly rush in. Louise says that she knows Seiichi is going to the magic academy, and she says that she would like to go with him, but he says that she has to protect that country but to come visit him at the academy, and she agrees. And in fact, the servant of the demon lord's daughter is serving a certain Magian who has several apostles spread across the world and who are carrying out missions to resurrect him. This Magian asks for more despair, more pain and more sadness to feed his magic so he can be reborn. One of the apostles says to take the lives of students at the magic academy, after all there are only children of important people there, and so they will cause a lot of chaos. Seiichi's colleague and his friends talk to a girl who was behind him. She asked if they saw him and that he doesn't have many friends and could be in trouble. He already saved her once and she wanted to return the favor. And then everyone in the city says goodbye to Seiichi. The leader says that regardless of what his muscles go through, they won't betray him. Eren says he can convert all pain into pleasure, and the bartender says he's welcome for a coffee anytime, and the king says goodbye to him along with the others. I know I reflect on it being the first city he's been to, and that he never thought he could experience so many emotions in such brief moments, and then he thanks the girls, and Barna asks if he misses me already, and he says it's not goodbye, that he intends to return when he becomes stronger, and he will show everyone what he has learned and how he has matured, and Barna says he is counting on him. Then a self-styled hero called Gargant appears, and Seiichi wonders what more bizarre things await him. That girl from before will join Seiichi's harem. This hero is actually a villain. Will the girls learn magic? Comment here if you want the next season, and remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss out as soon as I release a new video. I'll stay here. We're together, bando.